Hey, James here, and welcome into this episode where I'm going to be talking you through a simple six-step process to sell high-ticket online packages. We're talking $2,000 to $3,000 plus. I'm going to explain exactly how to do that today. Before we get rolling, please drop me a hashtag live if you're watching live. Drop me a hashtag replay if you're watching after the fact later on. So let's rip into it. What do I mean by high-ticket? Basically, we've got clients that are charging anywhere from 1,000 when we're making pilot offers and we're making some deals just to get that cash flow going in the beginning, all the way up to 3,000, 3,500 plus. So somewhere within that range, all our coaches are, and we're pushing everyone up over 2,000 minimum eventually. Some coaches can just charge a little bit more depending on the niche and a few other factors. So somewhere in that range, we're looking at high ticket in the B2C space. And there's only really 6 things you need to understand in order to pull this off. All right, let's dive in. Number 1. Firstly, you've got to solve a specific problem in a defined time frame, because what that means is that your prospects can clearly see themselves starting at the beginning, ending at the end, and coming out with a result. So this really links back to your offer, but you can't talk about selling and making sales easier without talking about having a compelling and a strong offer that your client actually wants, your prospect actually wants, should I say. Because if you're getting on the phone with someone who's seeing you as a generalist and they're not seeing you as a specialist who's got their unique solution, it's going to be much harder to sell. It's actually going to be impossible to sell high ticket. You might get lucky once or twice, but you're never going to build a consistent business around that. So you have to solve a specific problem in a defined time frame. That's almost like a prerequisite to the steps that we're going to talk about today. If you don't have that, go back and watch our episode on offer, and that'll give you a lot of clarity on that aspect. If you have got that, if you're really standing out in the marketplace as someone who's got a unique solution for somebody specifically, you're not just working with everyone, then you're in a good spot, and you can go on to step number 2, which is use a framework, not a script necessarily. So often the coaches that we work with are doing one of 2 things. They're either not using any kind of framework at all, or they've got some long, convoluted, chunky paragraph-based scripts that makes them seem like a robot when they're on calls and they're trying to close deals. You need to find a nice balance somewhere in between these 2 things. No script and a massive chunky script, and that's basically a framework. The reason you need a framework when you're in a sales call, especially as a coach, obviously the people we're working with, is so you don't do that. So you don't end up coaching, so you don't go off the plan. If you've got a simple framework that you can follow, then you know where you are in the conversation, because you need to be guiding and controlling your prospects on sales calls. They can't be guiding and controlling where the conversation is going, because you're doing them a disservice in that instance, because you need to lead them to a result, a solution. Regardless of that's whether they come on your program or not, you're really not doing your job as a coach if we're not consulting these people and helping them get a resolution. Now, if you want the exact framework that we teach, the exact framework that all our clients within Simple Online Clients actually use, comment framework below, and I will actually get a copy of that to you. That's the exact framework they use to close high-ticket deals when they're on calls, and the exact steps you need to go through with a prospect to make sure that you close deals at a high percentage. Comment framework below, and I will get that to you if you want it. Now, let's move on to number 2. Consult, do not coach, and don't be best friends. So what I mean by this is, like I've just mentioned, your job on a consultation or on a sales call is to diagnose a problem and prescribe a result, a solution, should I say, so that the prospect can get a result. Not dissimilar to a doctor, right? You need to consult and then prescribe. So we don't consult people by coaching them and letting them think they've got the solution on the call so they can just go away and fail. We consult them to get a resolution that's going to work for them long term. And that, like I said, doesn't always mean it's going to be your program. But you've got to, when your head hits the pillow at night, you've got to know that you did everything you could to help this person. But look, you're still trying to make a sale here. So look, I've heard all that about get on there and serve. And absolutely, you need to go in there from a place of service. But understand that the best way you can serve someone is to get them on your program, because you're an expert at helping people get results. So that's where you want them. But of course, we're going from a place of service on a sales call. We're not always thinking how to get this money, how to get this money. But you should know ultimately that if they invest in you, you're going to change their life in a profound way. Like, you need to have that belief and certainty, and that does come over time. But do not be their best friend on this call. Like, one of the worst things I see when I'm listening to sales calls, and I might get a bit of stick for this, but this particularly with ladies, because I don't know if they're just naturally more friendly or than those guys. But when I'm reviewing sales calls, one of the worst things I see is like too friendly. It's not the right dynamic. If you go to the doctor, they're not your best friends. Like if you're calling each other babe on a sales call, there's a very high chance you're not making that sale. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be connecting with these prospects, building rapport and helping and serving. We absolutely should. But that doesn't happen when you're someone's best friend. That's a mistake we're seeing a lot of people making on consultations and sales calls. All right. The other thing is coaching. Like I said, consult, don't coach, don't be best friends. Over coaching on a sales call leads your prospect to believe that they've got the solution already and they can do it. You know they can't do it. They wouldn't be on the call with you. It's the access to you. It's the real accountability and it's the real coaching that they need. They need you to hold their hand through this. So they need to be on your program in order to get that. So for you to coach or overcoach, you think you're delivering an incredible amount of value, and there's going to be a little bit of that on a call. I get it. But actually, you're doing a disservice again because they're not going to come into your program. They're going to go away, try and implement it on their own and fail like they have done multiple times before. So it's a really fine line, guys. You have got to bring value on these calls to obviously position yourself as an expert. But we normally see coaches going too far with this. You don't need to, everything they say on the call, you don't need to come back with some proof that you know what they're talking about, right? And I made this mistake so much, and this is why I can recognize it so clearly when I review sales calls and I see people doing this. We feel as coaches like we have to prove ourselves based on everything they say. Oh, well, I tried keto once and that seemed to work. Oh, really? Well, here's why keto works, because it actually just reduces your overall calorie. Like, they don't need to know that, right? It's just too much information. And this is why, going back to point 2, a framework helps a lot because you are moving your prospect and controlling where the conversation is going so you can truly help them. So, number 4, ask the hard questions. Again, a mistake that I've made a million times and I see a lot when I'm reviewing sales calls. People aren't asking the hard questions. It's not okay as a coach to not ask the hard questions. We've got to go where no one else is willing to go and where no one else has been willing to take them. And there's a lot of pain in this process. And this is why it's very controversial. When we talk about pain, it's not a nice word, but ultimately pain drives action. So let's do a real simple example. If you're talking to someone and they say they want to lose some weight and you leave it there, how would you ask how would you feel if you lost the weight? Oh, it'd be amazing. I think I feel amazing this summer when I'm on my holiday. Fantastic. Then you move on. That's not what we want to be doing. We need to go 3 or 4 levels deeper than that. We want to be asking, well, why is it super important to you to feel amazing on your holiday? What happened last time? In what situation on your holiday would you like to feel better? Is it when they're getting dressed in the morning? Is it when they see the reflection in the mirror? Is it when they put the bathing suit, swimsuit on? Okay, so how do you normally feel when you put your swimsuit on? So what's this led to in the past? So how are you feeling right now? Why is this a big problem? You need to get down to the crux of what's really going on in their life, because it isn't that they're 20 kilos overweight. That's the surface level problem of something that's going on in here with the identity. So we need to get down to what's really going on. And it's a very tough conversation to have. There's going to be a lot of tears, especially if you're obviously working with ladies, you tend to get tears more often. But there's going to be a lot of tears and upset. But if you know that you took that prospect where they needed to go to get real on their situation and to hold up a mirror to their problems and offer a solution, you've done your job. And if that means some tears or if that means some upset, that's what coaching is. But we're not just salespeople, but we have to accept that you can't get someone in your program without making a sale. So it's such a hard line to kind of find and balance to find. And I understand it really is. And there's no perfect way to do this, by the way. And we're all learning and making mistakes. You're never going to perfect this. It's a hard line because you're selling something. So you are a salesperson. You better own that. But you're also a coach and you're trying to bring value and help this person, right? And we've got to come from a place of service. So it's a super hard line. Number 5, selling. You need to sell benefits, not features. So often, and again, made this mistake loads of times, people do a really good job on a call. They get to the end and then they spend 10, 15 minutes talking about the program. And you're going to get personalized nutrition. We've got our own training app and you can tick off your workouts when you do them. We've got this little community and we do this on a Thursday. Honestly, you need to just give a 60-second overview on the process and let them fill in the gaps with questioning, because otherwise you're going to take them away from the pain that you've just done a great job in getting to, the truth, and you're going to get them bored out of the brain, wondering when this call's going to end. So we need to make sure that it's just a very succinct description on basically the result they're going to get, not how they're going to get it, not really the process, unless they ask questions. Of course, you need to answer them accordingly if they do. But a mistake I made and with Push Program when I was making sales back then, was this. It was basically talking about the program too much because we love it, right? We're coaches. We've made this amazing program. We want to shout it from the rooftops, tell the world about it. We've got our own app. Like, you spent all this time on it And you want them to get the perceived value or see the perceived value, but they only see value in a result. They don't see value in an app. They don't see value in personalized nutrition because everyone's offering it. They only see value in you getting them the results. And of course, they have to understand the process in order to trust it. But they don't need a 15-minute explanation, presentation on exactly what's included and all the finite details of the program. Okay. And finally, close on commitment. Okay. Yes, we have to own that we're in a sales call and you're going to be making a sale and we need to sell. You've got to own that and do not be ashamed to sell because you're changing this person's life. But closing on commitment is what we're actually doing because we're not persuading someone to buy something they don't want. When you consult someone in the correct manner, the pitch and the sale becomes really easy because it's simple. It's simply a question of, would you like to do what we've just talked about doing? I would, I'd love it. How committed on a scale of 1 to 10 would you be to following the simple steps that I give you to get this result that you want? 10 out of 10. Fantastic, ready to move forward. So it's a simple case of asking, are they committed? It's closing on commitment. It's not selling. It's not a big sales pitch. It's not a big hoo-ha. It doesn't have to feel nasty. It doesn't have to feel like you're selling used cars. But that can only happen at the end of the conversation, at the pitch. If upstream we've done the right things, if we've asked the hard questions, if we've followed a framework, if we've consulted and not coached or been best friends, then, and we've sold the features and not the benefits, only then can we close on commitment. It becomes a simple question of, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this together? Does this seem like exactly what you need? Do you want to do this together? Cool. What credit card would you like to use? Or what debit card would you like to use? Debit or credit? Simple case of just asking, are you committed? Are you ready to move forward? So it's very different sales in that aspect. And that's why it never needs to feel like a nasty process. And it also doesn't matter if you're not a natural salesperson, because guess what? I'm not. And I made over 300 high ticket sales in push program, right? You do not have to be good at sales. I'm one of the worst salespeople in the world. What you do have to understand is the process that we're going through and follow a framework so that we can ask the hard questions and get to the truth of what's going on, diagnose the problem and prescribe a solution. And if that's your program, great. And if it's not, send them away with some information and say, good luck. We don't sell anything to anyone unless we're 100% certain that we can actually get the result for them. Sales is powerful and persuasion is powerful. So you have to make sure that two things have to be ticked off for someone to sell into your program. It has to be a great decision for them, and it has to be a great decision for your business. If you don't want to work with this person, or the price point is too low, or they want to make a deal, it's not right for your business, you haven't got 2 ticks. So get the hell out of there and on to the next. And this is why you need to keep your pipeline full so you're never in scarcity mode. That's a different topic altogether. If you haven't seen our episode on funnels, that's the one to watch. If you are struggling with your top of funnel, filling it up and getting enough leads and opportunities, it's a funnel problem, it's a pipeline problem. You've got to keep that full so that when you get on sales calls, you're never in desperation. So they are the 6 things. Solve a specific problem in a defined time frame. Use a framework, and if you want our free framework, well, it's not a free framework, but I'll give it you for free. It's something that I've produced over a number of years that you can follow on every single call and close high ticket deals. Comment framework below and I'll get it to you. Number 3, consult, don't coach, and do not be your best friend. Ask the hard questions, sell benefits, not features, and close on commitment. Hope this was really useful for you, and I will see you on the next episode.